Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me? Don't ask. I can barely sit in an armchair without nodding off at the moment, yet I get in bed wide awake. God knows what's going on there. It's now 5 days since the National Federation of Demolition Contractors hosted its annual general meeting in London. I'm still waiting for a decent photograph of the new president, John Lynch, and I'm not alone, it appears. When I was preparing for today's show, I hopped over onto the NFDC website and it's still showing William Crooks as president. Things move slowly in Hemel Hempstead, it appears, but not everything. As we exclusively reported, Duncan Riddell is set to become the new CEO, replacing Howard Button in the role. And we all thought that there was going to be this sort of protracted transition period. Apparently, not. Riddell's appointment was confirmed on Friday last week, and I was expecting the transition to go on for about a year. Not so. In fact, according to a press release from the Federation, it seems that Riddell will be in post by June this year. It's unfortunate, obviously, that both Riddell and the new president, John Lynch, will be taking up their new roles amidst an ongoing shitstorm that, if anything, is actually gathering pace. Yesterday afternoon, I collated a list of more than 30 publications that have covered the £60 million in fines handed down by the Competition and Markets Authority to the 10 members of a so-called demolition cartel. I checked again this morning, and I reckon there's another dozen or so that need to be added to the list. If you'd like to see that list, why would you not? Let me see if I can find it. Let's have a look. I should be able to post it there. You should be seeing that in the chat now. Incidentally, no, I've already done that bit. Once again, we do have a prize giveaway for you this morning. Let me get rid of that good morning on the screen. I find that slightly distracting, and I'm going to switch it for this temporarily. We do have a prize draw this morning. Your chance to win a Develon hat. Now, those are pretty exclusive. Obviously, as you know, the name of Doosan has just changed to Develon, so there's probably not that many of those out in the world at the moment. But I've got one here to give away. So if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning one of those hats, please type the word Develon into the chat, and I can even show you how to spell that. There you go. Type the word Develon into the chat, and we'll draw that at the end of the show. Just one final thing before I do press the big green go button. I'm going to be live again at 2:30 this afternoon, only this time I'm going to be over on Instagram. The show will be entirely unscripted, although I would expect the CMA debacle to be pretty high on the agenda. So join us for that if you can. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. Now, for some reason, the question of the day... there we are. That's the question of the day. I'll come back to that in just a second. It is Tuesday, the 28th of March. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Komatsu goes large. New Holland goes electric. We're in a spin with Steelwrist, and we're looking ahead to the Samoter exhibition. Plus, we also have the world premiere of our new film called This Is My Church, which will hopefully make a lot more sense when we get to it. That'll be right at the end of the show. We're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to chat show host Michael Parkinson and to former Labour leader Neil Kinnock. Happy birthday also to country singer Reba McEntire, to pro wrestler Kurt Hennig, footballer Steve Ball, and to Cheryl James, better known as Salt from the rap group Salt and Pepper, to feeder drummer John Lee, EMF singer James Atkin, actor Vince Vaughn, actress Julia Stiles, and to the singer Lady Gaga. Many happy returns to them, one and all. Now, before we properly get started, here's a very quick reminder of our question of the day. Yes, what is your pet hate on site? I'm sure you. I'm sure some of you will have a very long list of answers for that. We will get to your answers to that at the end of the show, and also we'll be drawing the prize winner for this Develon hat. You can see how to type Develon in the thing that's going across the bottom of the screen. Develon. Type that into the chat for your chance to be in with a shout to win one of those hats. Now, bit of this. Right then, Komatsu has added a new large excavator to its already impressive range. Want to see it? Yep, I thought you might say that.
My name is Casey Zabinden. I'm a product marketing manager, and I'm excited to introduce a new large class high performer to the Komatsu line of excavators, the PC900 LC-11. Based on the highly reliable and long-lasting PC800 LC, this large excavator takes productivity to a new level. It has exceptional power and digging capabilities, so it's ideal for heavy earth moving, demolition, material handling, deep sewer and water, large mass excavation, and quarry applications. It's a machine you can depend on year after year. Larger and stronger major structures, booms and arms, and a redesigned revolving frame are engineered to increase longevity. But it's the performance that truly makes this excavator stand out. The PC900 LC-11 features increased bucket and lifting capacity, more swing torque, greater digging forces, and improved engine and hydraulic power compared to the previous model. We know you need to move equipment quickly across job sites, so the new counterweight removal system makes moving this large machine easier, along with a boom configuration with reduced transport height. Another improvement is a cross-aisle walkway for standing access to different areas of the machine. This allows easy access to all filters, oil level checks, sample ports, and other key components. So there's no need to climb or use a ladder for daily maintenance checks. You'll also find performance-enhancing technology to help get operators up to speed and working efficiently. The ComVision camera system is standard. Smart Construction 3D guidance and payload monitoring are also available. Komatsu is proud to introduce the new PC900 LC-11 for today's toughest jobs. It's a large class, high performance, reliable excavator that's easy to transport and maintain. It's sure to be a star performer in your fleet for many years.
Yeah, really is quite a weapon, isn't it? I can just hear certain members of the Breakfast Show salivating at the prospect of operating that. And hats off to Komatsu on yet another impressive excavator. Speaking of hats, you see, I don't just throw this stuff together, you know. Speaking of hats, don't forget to type the word Develon into the chat. I'm just going to have a very quick look. I reckon we've had, 6 entries so far, but we could do with a few more. Develon in the chat. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to a few people. One in particular I want to pick out. Nigel Williams is with us for the first time in a while. Nigel Williams is, amongst other things, he is the host of the From the Seat of the Cab podcast. Listen to the last couple of episodes over the weekend. He recorded both of those from home. And Nigel, just so you know, not that my opinion counts for anything at all, the audio on your new podcast sounds absolutely brilliant. Made for very, very good listening indeed. So yes, go give that a listen. I'll come back to the chat in just a second. But first, we need a spot of this. Got a couple of newcomers. Well, one newcomer and one irregular comers, I guess. First of all, I'm going to say good morning to Steve Guthrie. Morning, Stephen Guthrie. Those that are in the know that when you arrive here for the first time, you get some welcome confetti. Stephen Guthrie, good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for being here. And also in the chat is Kent Demolition. I'm going to take a wild stab and guess that is a member of the Paget family. It's Dave, or it's Al, or somebody from the Paget family, but good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now I've got to figure out how to turn off that bloody confetti. There we go. That's what we need. Right. Okay. The tide of electric machines washing up onto the construction equipment market shores shows no signs of abating. The latest to throw its hat into the electric excavator ring is none other than those fine folks at New Holland. Take a look.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Anderson, Product Marketing Manager for New Holland Construction at beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada here at ConExpo 2023. One of our big product launches this year is the E15X, our first electric vehicle for the brand, with a runtime between 4 to 8 hours, depending on the application, of course, and a recharge time of anywhere between 8 and 12 hours, utilizing the onboard battery charger with a 110 outlet connection there. So ideal and perfect for a variety of applications, including rental opportunities for the DIYers that need something that's not super difficult to maintain or recharge or refuel. So with that, you get a lot of ease of operation as well as, lower cost of ownership, but very particular other markets like interior operations, like working within malls or hospitals or something to that effect where noise pollution as well as air quality is of the utmost importance. And the E15X answers that call. With a retractable and extendable track base, you still have a lot of the same functionality as well as performance as its diesel comparative models out there. And we're very excited here to launch this here, as well as other multiple products here at ConExpo 2023.
Yeah, we didn't get to film that machine, unfortunately, but I did see it as I dashed past on my way elsewhere, and it certainly looked the part. What do you reckon? Let us know in the chat. Does that look like a hit, or does that look like a miss? And I've just realised I've left the Kent Demolition comment up. I'm going to get rid of it while I'm doing this. Now, I mentioned yesterday that we are off to Verona in May, where we will be attending the Samoter exhibition in fair Verona. So I'm brushing up on my Italian, drawing up a list of pasta dishes I want to try, and I'm figuring out what to wear so I don't stand out as a scruffy Englishman. I'm also looking forward to checking this out. Yeah, as that just said, the Samoter Fair takes place from the 3rd to the 7th of May, and we will be there for the duration of the show. I look forward to bringing you more details of exactly what's on display. And we're going to be sticking with all things show-related, show business, right after this. Okay, we are returning to the Las Vegas Convention Center now, not once, but twice. In a few minutes, I'll be sharing a brand new film that I made during my trip to ConExpo. It's a film that hopefully goes some way to explaining why I've stuck around this industry for more than 3 decades now. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, Let's see what those fine folks at Steelwrist were up to during ConExpo 2023.
My name is Peter Gay. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Steelwrist Inc. in North America. Rotator started about 30 years ago. Steelwrist started about 18 years ago in Europe. And as with everything else with Europe, it starts in Europe and it makes its trends westward. The technology has finally reached here. It's not new technology, but it's new to the US. And we are on the brink of the bubble. It's landscapers, hardscapes. That was the intro 5 years ago when we started, and it was brought to this country. But now, just 5 years in, the business just keeps flowing forward fastly, and now we're up to full-size units on bigger machines, 60,000 pound machines. Multiple repeat business, especially from the smaller guys who started and grew their fleet. And then when the bigger guys started to take over, my prior life was sales. I sold a lot of the Steelwrist product before I came over to Steelwrist. And it's kind of like a domino effect. Once they start seeing people have it, it just starts to multiply and multiply and multiply. I would think Steelwrist would look from this point 3 years forward, we would more than double our footprint in North America. Employees-wise, building-wise, those dominoes have taken effect over the last 5 years, and you can see from the people in the booth how popular it is. And as I said to you before, we're on the brink of a bubble. It's just ready to explode in North America.
It's a funny one, actually. I'm just going to throw this one up again. Steve Williamson, morning, Steve, says, great bunch of lads on the Steelwrist booth. Yes, they most certainly were, including my old mate, Walter Reeves, who used to be with Volvo Construction Equipment back in the day, but has now re-emerged over on OilQuick. There were some really huge and impressive stands at ConExpo and some huge machines as well, but there was a bit of the outside area dedicated to couplers and attachments from OilQuick, Steelwrist, Kinsoffer, Grib. I have to say, it was one of my favourite bits of the show. Lots of action, lots of activity as well. Yeah, we're going to go back to the show in just a moment, right after a message from one of our loyal sponsors. Before I do that, I'm going to check very quickly. I'm not entirely sure I know how long this next film is. The next film is nearly 4 minutes long, which means that you've probably got about 4 minutes to type the word Develon into the chat. As you can see, going along the bottom of the screen there, Develon, to be in with a chance to win. As you can see, it's a Nike hat, or a Nike hat, depending on how you like to say that, but it's got the Develon brand on it. If you'd like to win one of those, please, Develon in the chat. Now, let me play this, and then I'm going to play you just a little thing called a world premiere.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Over the past 3 years, my mindset has entirely changed. I used to think in terms of magazine articles. This will make a good short news article. This needs more depth and it's a feature article. This needs a bit more expansion still and is probably a magazine series. But ever since I returned from ConExpo 2020, I now think in video. The video I'm about to play you is an idea I've had kicking around in my head for the best part of 2 years now. It's a film that attempts to explain why, more than 30 years since I first set foot on a demolition site, I still get a buzz from the industry. Why I will fly halfway around the world to spend some time with some diggers. And it's a film that hopefully goes some way to explaining why I get up each and every weekday morning to talk about this industry just a little bit more. This then is the world premiere of a new film called This Is My Church. This is my church. These people are my people. I worked in several industry sectors in the past, but when I came to the field of demolition and construction, it felt like I'd come home. This is an industry like no other, an industry built upon camaraderie. It is a brotherhood and increasingly a sisterhood. We may come from different towns, different cities, or different countries, but we share a common bond, a bond that unites us all. This is my church. I've been fortunate enough to travel extensively. I've visited some incredible places and seen some truly awesome machines. But more importantly, I've met thousands of fascinating people. People of different nationalities, people of different colours and races, of different genders, people of different creeds and religions. But people that have unified around a passion for demolition and construction. I have found these people to be almost universally welcoming, generous, helpful, kind and supportive. They work in all weathers and in all terrains. When the world stopped for the COVID-19 pandemic, construction continued. It continued because its people are passionate, committed and determined. They are blue-collar heroes in an increasingly white-collar world. This is my church. It's an industry that is widely misunderstood. It's dismissed as rough, tough and dangerous. And yes, that is its core. But there is more to this industry, much more. There is a will to innovate and to evolve to meet the needs not of today, but of tomorrow. There is an intellect that is capable of solving challenges long before they become problems. There is a desire to find solutions even when none exist. A belief that good is never quite good enough. It's an industry that is striving constantly to better itself, to better its work, and to better the world around it. It's an industry with its roots planted in the firm foundations of the past, but it's an industry with branches extending well into the future. It is an industry that literally shapes the world. So yes, 5,000 miles is a long way to travel to look at some diggers. But this is not work, and it's not a vacation. This is a pilgrimage made by thousands of my fellow worshippers whose lives will have been enriched by the journey. They will have met and mingled with their own kind, and they will return home improved for having done so. They will have encountered machines and systems that will make their work safer and more efficient, and that might ultimately change the very landscape of the earth. So these are my people. This is my church. And we welcome all those that wish to worship beside us. This is my church. Hope you like that. Looking back at that, just spotted a couple of mates of mine, Alessia Valeria from MB Crusher, Tom Schwind from over at XCMG in America. Not sure if you spotted at the end of that the fact that the film was inspired by a song called God is a DJ by Faithless. I'm sure some of you would be aware of the song. I've been planning that film for a good few years, but I could never actually find a hook upon which to hang it, something to bring it all together. Just before Christmas, some of you may recall, the frontman of the band Faithless, Maxi Jazz, actually passed away. I spent hours on YouTube listening to the band's back catalogue, and I was reminded of the song God is a DJ. It was never a favourite of mine, to be perfectly honest. My personal favourite is We Come One, personal taste, but God is a DJ, and the video that goes with it, which is where I got this is my church. That's where I stole it from. That's what brought it all together. So there you are. Demolition and construction. This is my church, and we worship together every weekday morning. I think I spotted Paul Latham in the chat earlier on, who actually worships at a real church. I hope you didn't find that in any way offensive, Paul, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to do the draw for the Develon hat in just a second. I think we're up to possibly 9 entries now. I'll be doing that right after this.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
I knew Jim Turner would have something to say about Faithless. Brilliant live. Seen them a couple of times. I never got to see them, sadly. Yeah, one of many bands that I regret not seeing. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Kerry Jones, who's joined us as well and who has entered the competition. I'm going to come back to the chat in just a second. You have about 10 seconds in which to type the word Develon, Develon, into the chat. We are at 9 entries. Thankfully, I haven't offended the true believers. No, mate, there's some great conversations around what and where church is. Thank you very much indeed for that, Paul, and thank you for the reassurance. I tread a fine line here on the show sometimes. Right, people, let me get the prize draw thing up on the screen when I can remember how to do so. It goes like that. Yeah, we are at 9 entries, and you are looking at it right now. Just before I start that, just saw our first video. Wow, awesome. Yes, we have done a series of films for the fine folks at Kinsoffer. Fred finished that one off yesterday, and it's now about to be it's actually going to be on the show tomorrow. So if you go and follow Steve, if you follow Kinsoffer, I'm sure you'll see it there, but we're going to be playing it for you tomorrow, now that it's approved. Now, let's find out who's won this hat, shall we? Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hatcher, who yesterday was sporting a brand new Bell hat, he can now sport a brand new, let me get rid of that on the screen. He can now sport a brand new Nike, get that out of the way, Nike Develon hat. Ken, yours with my very best wishes. We do have some more hats to give away at some point in the not too distant future, so please stick around for that. I can now get rid of that thing that's rolling across the bottom of the screen because that's over and done with. That's going to pretty much wrap up today's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today, and there has been a lot of chat, so thank you for that. Just on that subject, on the subject of chat, I am going to throw this up very, very quickly, and I'll leave it up during the conversation after the show. You can now leave us a voicemail, which we can play here on the show. Leave us a voicemail message at SpeakPipe. Speak as in speak, pipe as in pipe, SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/demolition news. If you'd like to share your opinion on the show, if you've got any ideas, any criticisms, if you want to tell me how much this hat suits me, maybe, then please let us have your comments over at speakpipe.com, and we will feature them. We will feature the very best of them on the show. And just before I do press the final outro, Ken Hatcher, wow, that's a nice hat. Yes, and I hauled it all the way back from Las Vegas just for you, Ken. So let me roll when I can find it. You never know. I've done 484 of these. Can still never find the buttons. Here we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all doing this fine day? Congratulations again, Ken. I'm sure I've got your address here somewhere, but if you could confirm it, make sure I don't send it sideways. You are now the proud owner of a Develon hat. I'm sure there will be hundreds and thousands of those about the place, but given the fact that I'm sure there were some Brits that made the journey to Las Vegas. I know a few of them. I'm sure a few of them may have picked up a Develon hat, but how many are giving them away? So I would imagine up until Plantworks rolls around, those are probably a pretty exclusive item. And Ken Hatcher, you are now the proud owner. So congratulations on that, my friend. First off the mark this morning, which kind of suggests that he is still not got his body clock sorted out. Steve Williamson. Morning, Steve. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Jim Turner, a fellow Faithless fan, is here as well. Morning, Jim. And Ken Hatcher, our prize winner, is here as well. Gary Muirhead, the first person to use our new speakpipe.com/demolition news after phone message to form the book club. I've still got a couple of books here. If anybody would like a JCB scrapbook to celebrate their 75th anniversary, let me know. Let me know in the chat. It's speakpipe.com/demolition news. Can I put that back up on the screen? I believe I can. Leave us a voicemail message at speakpipe.com/demolition news. Now, back to the chat. Where are we? Who was next? Dan Cullen was next. Morning, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, as you so often do. Tristan Mays, Mr. Crane, is in the house as well. Morning, Tristan. Hope you're fitting well, my friend. Mick Saunders is here as well. Yes, I believe I do have jet lag. What I don't quite understand is why it's still hanging around more than a week after I touched down in London. Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. I've never had it quite like this, and I'm not suffering with it at all. But I mean, I will stop this show. I'll go and make myself a cup of tea. I will sit down, and I'll probably nod off. Get me in bed, wide awake. The hell's that all about? Mick Norton is in the house. Morning, Mick. Thank you very much indeed for being here. I'll be okay next week. That apparently sleep deprivation is an instrument of torture. So if I don't succumb to that between now and then, hopefully I will be back next week. Paul Latham, good morning, Paul. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Yes, there is a link to all of that CMA coverage, and it's still rolling in, I believe. I think I counted about 30. I think we're probably up to about 40, possibly even more now. Magazines, newspapers, websites, and stuff that are covering it. The only one that I can't find any coverage on, oddly, is the BBC. Whether they consider that too small beer, I don't entirely know, or whether they've just not got their finger on the pulse, not a clue. Nigel Williams is here. Morning all. Been a while. To be back in a machine again. I understand that, Nigel, but as I said earlier in the show, and we will come back to that in just a second, while I love your shows from the car or the van or from the machine, the ones from your house, they do sound good. And I'll address your other point when we get to it. There's lots of entries from people that were after the Develon hat, and there is our eventual winner who, first time out, didn't spell it right. But he got there in the end. There you are. And there is his winning entry. Thank you very much indeed for that. And there's Mick Norton's entry as well. So my question of the day was, what is your pet hate on site? I think I've already said good morning to Tony Goddard, who also entered. Alex Latham as well is here as well. So pet hates on site. Working with clowns that have got no clue and are completely clueless. That's not limited to site, my friend. I've worked in offices, been surrounded. Clowns. I used to work with a guy who's sadly no longer with us, who used to refer to his workplace as being surrounded by whores, pimps and comic singers. No idea where he got that from, but it always used to make me laugh, and I still use it occasionally now. Question of the day. Hoodies? You got an issue with hoodies, Nigel? What the hell is your... well, okay. I'm going to take a wild stab here. Is that hoodies worn under a hard hat? Because that's one of mine. I do have listen, I own a couple of hoodies myself, including a really nice Joker one, which I may give an airing at some point. I have no issue with hoodies, but hoodies under a hard hat makes no sense, people. Stop doing it. Women who don't wear their hair up, that's fairly specific. Are you thinking of anyone particularly, Nigel? Could easily have said the drink and drug culture too. Yeah, I was expecting a fewer people to say that, actually. Drivers tracking in reverse, sprocket to the front. Pet hates. And Ken Hatcher went with sprockets. Hold the front page. Breaking news. Ken Hatcher is on about sprockets again. Question of the day. Spitting. And not using the Kazi when needed. When needed? Surely that's exactly when you use the Kazi, isn't it? But spitting. Don't like that. I don't like that on site. Don't like that anywhere. Really don't. Question of the day, Gary Muirhead. Working with donkeys on site. Being told I'll have to come over and do this. He's useless. Yes, I've worked with a few of those as well. Mick Norton says, question of the day. What is your pet hate on site? Managers in positions above their abilities. Don't say too much about people above their positions, because this guy. Nigel Williams has just said good morning to Dan Cullen. Question 8. Some sites have no organisation or communication between management and workers. Yes, I'm sure that is the case. And again, I've worked in offices just like that. See, this is one of the reasons why retirement is so appealing. Mick Saunders just said, seeing as I'm no longer on site, hey ho, carry on. No pet hates anymore. Bet you had a few back in the day though, Mick. Let's have a look. I think that's in response to Ken Hatcher. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's in response. And bizarrely, I know it says I guarantee 100% we'll do it. When it comes up on the screen, it's bigger than the type that I see over on the other side when I'm looking through the chat. And I could have sworn that says I guacamole 100%, which would have meant nothing at all. But thank you very much indeed for that, Steve. It's like when people say they tap the bucket on the ground after attaching a bucket every time. Bullshit, he says. Yes, indeed it is. Steve Williamson, Ken Hatcher says, I do that to check it's attached properly. Do you though? Every time? Do you? Question 8. People that won't get off the dumper when loading. People that won't get off the crusher when loading. People that just won't get off. People in generally. Luke Carney joined us as well. Morning, Luke. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. No need to apologise. You turn up when you like. Most people actually turn up after I've stopped talking, which probably tells you a lot. Most people actually watch this on catch up, and bizarrely, and I don't know why this is, yesterday's show on YouTube, biggest audience ever. Not a clue why. The one on Friday when we were talking about all things CMA, which I was expecting to cause a bit of consternation in the industry, if that had been the biggie, I would have been very I'd have been pleased, but I'd have understood it. Why yesterday's show went off the charts? Not a clue. It's just the way it works. Now, I said I was going to come back to Nigel Williams, and I am going to. Thanks, Mark, he says. I was making comments about Nigel's brilliant from the seat of the cab podcast over on iTunes, on Spotify, and a bunch of other platforms as well. He's tried out a new standalone mic that plugs into the aux port on my phone. Only cheap. I'm a man of modest means, so this means a lot to me. I will tell you, Nigel, I record some of our podcasts using proper microphone. But some of our biggest podcasts were recorded on a lav mic that I bought on Amazon for £13.99, including the one of me traipsing down a mountain in Kobe in Japan. Cheap as chips, sounds fantastic. You don't need all the bells and whistles. And while we're talking about those sort of things, if anybody here is the type like Nigel who produces audio, very quick inside tip. If you've got some audio, and even if it sounds a bit ropey, and literally if you've recorded it into your phone like that and it sounds rather less quality than it should, there is a system now called Adobe Podcast. Not surprisingly, it's by the company Adobe, who make the PDF reader and everything else. Adobe have done this podcast software. You upload your audio and you enhance it through Adobe Podcast. And God damn, it sounds like it's come straight out of a professional studio. So Nigel, even when you're doing your from the seat of the cab, actually from the seat of the cab, run it through Adobe Podcast. You'll come out the other end sounding like you've been to the BBC studios and recorded it there in person. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. New Holland had a really smart booth. Yes, they did. Unfortunately, it was one of those stands that I sort of ran past because I was late to be somewhere else, but it did look very good. And I have to say that new electric excavator, before anyone says it, I do realise there are still ongoing objections to anything electric, but the machine looked very good indeed. New Holland going back into construction equipment again. I don't believe they ever left. They may have left here. Obviously, we've had various iterations over the years. There was New Holland, there was Case New Holland back at CNH. CNH is still the holding company, but New Holland still make construction equipment. As far as I'm aware, they've never stopped. But yes, they sell in some areas and they don't sell in others. And I think this is one in which they don't sell. Nigel Williams, most of their cat was rebadged kit from others. I think that's the case. Yeah, absolutely. But then when you look at what CNH actually owns, there's an awful lot of tech within CNH anyway. So not entirely sure where the electric one fits in. If anyone knows, let me know. The 4 to 8 I knew somebody was going to pick up on all things electric, and it's our old friend Mick Norton. The 4 to 8 hour battery life for the electric excavator, dependent upon application, regretfully means it will not be a big seller in the UK. I'm not even sure if it's going to be on sale in the UK anyway. And I, having spoken to a good number of our American friends and cousins over in Las Vegas, if there is a hurdle here to electric machines, the hurdle is more like a steeplechase hurdle over in America. We love our diesel, but boy, oh boy, the Americans love it even more. So, yeah, not expected to see one of those machines anytime soon, but have to share it with you. That's my job. Steve Williamson says, great bunch of lads on the Steelwrist booth. As I said, that part of the show, Kinsoffer and Oilwrist and Steelquick. Steelwrist and Oilquick. And Grib a little bit further up. I think Rotor Tilt were in there as well. Just a real little hive of activity. Really good part of the show. Unfortunately, Gary Muirhead was shouting about his love of all things Steelwrist, as he often does. Yeah, what a fantastic display Steelwrist had. They really did. Not a particularly big site, or stand rather, but they had lots of machines on display. And a really... in actual fact, I even took aside the guy that was voicing the demonstration there. He was that good, I literally pulled him to one side to tell him how good he was. That they had a demo, including that they had 2 operators on 2 different machines, picking up grabs, shears, and all the usual tools and everything else. Doing much the same thing that Ed and Steve were doing over on the Kinsoffer stand, which was almost opposite. But the guy that was doing the voiceover was absolutely fantastic. And one of the operators actually was 19 years old. Big future ahead of him. Really, really top job he was doing there. Fantastic video, Mark, and some amazing camera work from Fred. Great job, guys. That would be our This Is My Church video. Thank you very much indeed for that, Gary. Yeah, as you probably gathered, Fred films me quite a lot of the time. I don't even know I'm being filmed. He tends to hide behind things and stick a zoom camera or zoom lens on his camera and films me while I'm chatting to people. But yeah, it was good to finally get that one out of my head. I can go and concentrate on something completely different now. Let's have a look. Kerry Jones entered the competition, but was unfortunately pipped at the post by our friend Ken Hatcher. Question of the day. People that insist on working to times like breakfast or snack time, even when another few minutes would get a job done, and that we as an industry work to a set of hours when we should be with the weather instead. Yeah, I have to say, there is this thing. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, as you've probably gathered, partly to teach myself how to do these kind of things, but just out of fun and curiosity and everything else. And there is this idea of, I think they call it calendar blocking. So you actually allocate, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to a specific task. Who the hell can work that way? I obviously block out 10 to 11 every day because I'm doing this. But the writing of this show sometimes takes an hour, sometimes takes all day. How the hell do you work with that? Not entirely sure. Faithless were a brilliant band. Never got to see them live, unfortunately, although I've since watched them live. Missed out. I have to say, I'm more of a I kind of like my rock music. I like shouty music. I like punk, and I like ska, and I like Guns N' Roses and people like that. But if somebody asked me hand on heart, the most incredible gig you've ever been to, The Prodigy. They were so loud, I actually thought I was going to die. The music was reverberating in my chest, and I thought I may be having a heart attack. And bizarrely, I say that as a good thing. Absolutely fantastic. Mick Norton says, Mark, thanks for This Is My Church. It was quite excellent. Thank you very much indeed. There's Paul Latham again. No, mate, there's some great conversations around what and where church is. Yes, I'm sure there is. And what and where religion is. I must admit, maybe I'm watching the news too closely. I can't remember the guy's name, but obviously the SNP now has a new leader up in Bonnie, Scotland. And Sky TV was playing in the room next door to me, just in the run-up to when the final announcement came in. And there was quite a lot of talk about the fact of religion. Why does that matter? Why does that matter? That's about as important as gender, sexuality. Why does it matter? I don't care. Personally speaking, if somebody is religious, I wouldn't say I necessarily think less of them, but I do wonder if that level of faith belongs in the corridors of power these days. I don't know. That's just me. I make no bones about the fact that I'm completely non-religious. But why? Was it the fact that the new leader of the SNP is brown? Was that why his religion was being called into question? Don't know, and I don't think it's important. So there you are. Steve Williamson says, just saw our first video. Wow, awesome. Yeah, we will be bringing that to you tomorrow. I'll show you tomorrow. I won't even give you the heads up on it. I'll show you tomorrow. Let's have a look. Paul Latham says, have a great day, everyone. Sorry, I can't hang around for the chat. I've got a sermon to write for tomorrow. See, this is how we roll, people. Peter McKenna, late but not least. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Peter. And who's this? Is that Bruno Alan? Good morning. You're a newcomer. Let me quickly hop over here, because newcomers do, as everyone knows, get the welcome confetti. Don't think we've seen... Is that Bruno? Not entirely sure how you pronounce that first name, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to go and look you up on LinkedIn as soon as the show is over. But thank you very much indeed for being here. All are welcome. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. For me, I would rather work my arse off, easier working through than having to stop and start. That's my take on it as well. And Peter McKenna, who, as you know, has been a bit poorly recently. Mark Sean Anthony, for that is my middle name. Thank you, Mr. Connery, for providing that. After nearly 2 months with a chest infection, I can't wait to get back in the machine. And the machine can't wait to have you back on board, Peter. Look forward to hearing where you pitch up. Kent Demolition, main contractor. I'm guessing that's main contractor and site toilet, or maybe it's the main contractor's site toilet. Either way, our friends down at Kent Demolition, fantastic pet hate. Pet hates card discrimination. Yes, I don't think you will be alone in that one. Mind you, look at the answers for questions today, they all come to mind. As we know, Mick is out of the game now, very much retired, but he recognises all of those and relates to most of them, I think. Site agents with no backbone. I missed an opportunity here. I actually could have done pet hate bingo. I could have drawn up a list and then gone through and ticked them off, because so many of them I could have predicted. Ed Butler's in the house as well. Good morning, Ed. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You've missed all the fun and games. Question of the day. When my dog Freddie licks the windows, drives my OCD through the roof. I have that same issue when my son Freddie licks the windows. I don't really. Yes. Yeah, we actually refer, we have a sofa under our front room window where my two boxer dogs, Diesel and Echo, basically keep an eye out for the postman and the Amazon delivery man. They don't bark, they don't guard the house, they just keep an eye out for people. But they often leave marks on the windows, and we refer to that in this house as nose art, because you can see the trails where their noses have been up and down the windows. I mean, finding a dark corner, dropping your trousers for a pony when the car's is a few steps away. Dirty effing gits. Yes. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Don't know. The hybrid hooding was something else, a great experience to get a go at. Yeah, I did see, Ed rather, let me know. I'm fairly sure I saw Steve's video of you guys with the hooding. If it's available online, please let me know. Please let me know where to find it, and we'll send people that way. Don't you just love Google Voice to Text? Don't really do a lot of that. Having been a typist, sort of, for about 35 years, I can type pretty much as fast as I can speak. So don't use that much. The only thing I do use, there is an app out there called Otterly, which I do use to actually take video and audio and turn that back into text, so I go the other way. Steelwrist kept telling us to turn the music down. Yes, I have to admit, one of the reasons that our Steelwrist video actually features some video or some audio that we added to it was because in the background we could hear nothing but "This Is How Legends Are Made," the Ed Butler and Steve Williamson theme tune, apparently. That's because we stole all their spectators. As soon as we started, they were like bees to honey. They were. And as Ed says, he's damn right we did. It was interesting, actually, and I saw exactly the same thing at Bauma. There was an area of the Bauma show. So if you went past the Liebherr stand, did a left at Brock, carried on past Senebogen on your right, and there on your right was the Komatsu stand. And the Komatsu display always had people around it, but about once an hour they would do a proper demonstration, once in German, and then an hour later they do an English one. And it was like somebody had sent out some kind of tractor beam, because the operators started to get in the machines, and people just arrived and they were ready to roll. Exactly the same with Ed and Steve over on their stand, on the Kinshofer stand in America. Jim Turner says, I never got to see the Prodigy. Saw Guns N' Roses at Leeds Festival. Mark, have a listen to an Australian punk band called The Chats. I'm going to do precisely that. Kerry Jones says, I can't talk much. Got wagons rolling. That's what I like to hear. That's an interesting one. We will get a good go of one soon. What's going on there, I wonder? Keep us posted, guys. Claim to fame, Peter McKenna. I roaded for Iron Maiden when they came to Preston Guildhall in the late 80s. That's a pretty good claim to fame, I have to say. Have I ever told you my Strangler story? If you have heard this before, please shout and I'll stop. Back in the late 70s, I grew up in Battersea in South London, but I ultimately lived in Surrey. I used to go back to visit friends and family and stuff like that, and I was on one of those open back buses, you know, where you could jump on and off while the thing. I know you weren't supposed to, but you could jump on and off while they were in motion. And we were driving through, or the bus was driving through Brixton, and I decided now is a good time to get off. The bus was going perhaps a little bit quicker than I actually anticipated, so I jumped off, and you hit the ground and you have to run to keep up. And I ran right into the back of a guy wearing a leather jacket and knocked him to the ground. The guy got up and dusted himself off. Didn't swear. He was actually quite polite, actually. Turns out that was Hugh Cornwall, lead singer of the Stranglers. Yeah, that's my Stranglers game. I never roaded for the Stranglers, but I did knock one of them to the ground once. When Steve Williamson licks the window on show day, my OCD. Yeah, window lickers of the world unite. Dog sitting by my side with his lead in his mouth and a rather deep growl. So have a good day, one and all, and catch you tomorrow. Yes, my dogs do the same. My eldest, my mailbox dog, had me up about 2 o'clock this morning busting for a leak. Had a leak, decided to drink about a bucket of water, and then had me up again at 6 o'clock this morning because he needed another leak. His bladder is about as good as mine. Peter McKenna, my comment about voice to text, watch video back and let me know your thoughts. Okay. Fair play. Peter, that's a band I'd love to see. Yeah, dead right. Myself and Ed been invited to go over to Hoodig HQ to have a factory tour and a play on their on-site demo area. Can't say it's not deserved, fellas. Enjoy yourselves. Take plenty of photographs, take plenty of video. Look forward to seeing that. And if you do get some good video, fire it over. We'll play it on the show. Would love to see that. Peter McKenna says, absolutely amazing brand. We are talking all things Iron Maiden here, I think. Saw Meatloaf. Oh my God, what a concert. I heard once that Meatloaf was the person that was most auto-tuned. Don't know whether that's absolutely true. Certainly listening to Bat Out of Hell, which was recorded long before the invention of auto-tune, I find that difficult to believe, but I did hear that somewhere along my wandering path through life. Yeah. But the Prodigy, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Primal Scream, the Pogues. Oh, so many. The Specials, Madness. So many to choose from. Yes, I could go on for hours. Maybe myself and Jim Turner will do a show on our favourite tunes at some point. Jim, let me know if you're up for that. Right, people, that's an hour of anyone's money. I'm going to go and have myself a cup of tea and possibly a quiet chat to myself. What does Tony Goddard say? Safety audit time. Have a safe and great day all. You too, Tony. Good luck with the safety audit. Venga Boys can't. Oh. Spicy banana pizza and the Venga Boys. Steve Williamson. I love you to death, but I do despair of you sometimes. I'm more into drum and bass nowadays. Timmy Trumpet is my favourite. Timmy Trumpet, is that a real thing? Timmy Trumpet sounds like a children's TV show. I'm out of touch, apparently. Now that's what I call the Breakfast Show album. There is, if anybody would like to have a look, go over to Spotify and search for a Demolition playlist. There is one on there because I compiled it. It's obvious with some of it. Obviously, there are songs like Demolition Man by, I can't remember if it was Sting or by the Police, but there is also Waiting for the Hammer to Fall by Queen and various others. Go have a listen. Let me know what you think. Jim Turner is apparently up for the music show. I have a very wide taste in music. Yeah, you and me both. And Peter McKenna says, bye or have a good day. That seems like a perfect note upon which to end. Yeah, I'm over on Instagram at 2:30 this afternoon if you fancy a natter there. Failing that, I'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, same old gibberish probably. Until then, everybody have a fantastic day. See you very soon. All the best.